Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Stop, Collaborate, and Listen, the podcast where we have honest conversations about eating disorders, recovery, movement, and all the ways you can have a healthy relationship with food and our bodies.
Today's episode is part of our summer movement series where we're exploring different ways to move our bodies. And we've been talking with people who are making movement more accessible, enjoyable, and sustainable to everybody.
Yes, throughout the series, we've spanned a lot, right? We've talked about dance, Pilates, climbing, endurance sports, and today we're diving into yoga, which I am particularly excited about.
So if you've ever thought I'm not flexible enough or yoga just is not for me, I don't have the right body for yoga, anything along those lines, today we're unpacking those myths and talking about what yoga actually has to offer beyond poses.
Yes. So today we are joined by two lovely Yoga 6 instructors, Charlie Dulis, a yoga instructor with more than 12 years of experience whose teaching emphasizes self-acceptance and mindful movement. And then we also have Liz Retana, right?
No.
Whose passion is creating welcoming spaces where everyone, especially beginners, feel like they belong.
Yes, we are so excited to have you guys in the flesh. Thank you for coming here and seeing us and just being willing to offer up your time to chat with us.
Yes.
Appreciate it. And a busy summer.
We're excited. We had some technical difficulties just last week in general. The podcast was Mercury retrograde was messing things up. We're excited, for you guys to join us today. So tell us how you both are. How's the summer going? Just give us a little life update before we dive in.
We're both doing crazy things. As you both are well aware, I just moved, so summer is crazy, but good things, good new beginnings. Looking forward to that. And I also am facilitating. We have an 80-hour sculpt teacher training that's happening right now at Yoga 6. So I have a cohort of 10 yogis who are really excited to become sculpt teachers. And it's been a really good refresher for me of why I do what I do. And it's keeping me on my toes to make improvements in my own teaching practice. So it's been good summer so far, but it's been nice to be able to have that teaching element involved.
That sounds so cool. Tell me again, how many hours? 60?
80 hours. Yep. So we do 5 intensive weekends. One weekend is done and we have 4 to go.
Yeah.
So cool. Awesome. All right, cool.
Summer's going well. I'm doing mainly just work stuff, doing some yoga, of course, as well. I have inherited the lead teacher role at our studio. So I'm helping to mentor new teachers, existing teachers. And that's been an interesting experience too, just kind of leading like training development as we get new courses, catching up with family friends. I like to play a little bit of tennis here and there. Did like a little bit of travel, but just in the States, like exploring parks and stuff like that. So it's been a good summer. Can't complain. It's been nice.
Deal. Favorite park you've been to this summer?
Probably with my dad, we visited like the Grand Canyon, like some of the Western parks. So, went out there and did like Zion Park. And so that was really neat. I had not seen Zion before. Grand Canyon's like very amazing, of course. Must visit before you die if you can. That's like a bucket list, kind of thing. So.
Good deal. And where did we play tennis?
And as like summertime, I play outdoors mainly in like city parks and then high schools. And then like indoors, there's clubs that you can play at. I'm a member of the Healthplex, which is over on the west side. So it's a mix.
Yeah. As a tennis player, do you have strong feelings about pickleball?
It's interesting. You could cause a little bit of it because I like on the yoga side of things, I'm like, oh, pickleball is like more accessible. It's like bringing tennis to the people, but from like the competitive tennis side, I'm just like, these pickleballers taking up because they're actively like converting tennis courts into pickle courts. So it's like less space for tennis players. So I enroll when I show up at courts and I'm just like, all these pickleballers. But it is fun. I think pickleball is more an everybody sport.
When I moved, I found a tennis racket that I hadn't seen in 12 years. So I should pick it up and come play tennis.
Yeah. That would be fun.
Bringing people together.
Yeah.
We need to pour into our own wellness cups. He does a good job of that. I need to do better at that.
We try.
Yeah.
It's
Try.
it's the danger of staying busy, like if you do wellness stuff, even if you're doing it for other people, you can forget to do it for yourself as well. So,
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about how you guys landed as yoga instructors, a little bit about outside work if you want to share, and just how involved we are with other types of movement if we are outside of yoga.
Kind of a mouthful.
Good luck.
I had just gotten back into working out. I grew up a competitive soccer player. And so that was my experience. I guess that's where the yelling yogi part comes from because I played defense. And so I was always, calling out, we'll say gentle suggestions, which that's not what it was, but I've rebranded as a calm person. So wanted to get back into working out and found yoga at the Y. And actually, some of our teachers who have worked with us at Yoga 6 started at the Y as well. And I had to wrap my head around the mental piece. The physical piece actually came fairly easy to me, which I was very grateful for. I'm naturally flexible, but the calmness and the mental stability that is required to do yoga is hard.
I feel you there.
Right? It's like real hard. Like when we center in the beginning of classes, there are some days where I'm like, I am going through the motions. I'm not actually centered, right? I'm saying the things I'm supposed to say, but I really found that it was such a profound impact on me, mind, body, and spirit. And I was never going to become a teacher, a yoga teacher. We're obviously see what happens there. But we came out a little bit out of the pandemic and I found Yoga 6 and it very much suits my personality of bright lights, music, all of that. And I was like, oh, wait, yoga can be fun. And I never thought yoga wasn't fun. I thought it was really serious. And so I thought as a person who's fairly gregarious and who likes to make jokes and sometimes makes jokes when like you shouldn't make a joke, I was like, maybe yoga is like not my spot. But I loved and I was like, wait, I think I can carve out a spot. I think. And so I met our honor Shay and she just had a lot of faith in me. I was our second member and was going to class every night and really just found a safe community at Yoga 6, which is why it's very important to me to perpetuate that, and became an instructor by accident because a friend who was teaching the class, she and her husband moved and the class had become, it's my Wednesday night class and it had become kind of our little group of like, we have a lot of fun. We protect each other. We look out for each other. And so Shay was like, you're the only person that can take this class over. You've built up this community. And I was like, I don't think I can do it. She was like, well, that's great because you start in 3 weeks. So fast forward to now be facilitating a 10 teacher yoga training. And it's overwhelming at the amount of growth internally and externally. And I'm just very grateful for the process. And in the midst of it, met Charlie. And Charlie and I have co-led a 200-hour yoga teacher training together. And what I know about Sculpt, Charlie knows about everything. Like he just is so, working with him is so wonderful because we're kind of like yin and yang. Our yoga students call us mom and pop, all dad. And so we really work well together and complement each other because all of the pieces about, I would say, fitness that lend towards sculpts. There's so many pieces that it's important to honor the yoga tradition. And I've learned so much from Charlie about all of that. And so I think that's a good segue into how you got into yoga and how you got into Yoga 6 as well.
Yeah, so for me, it goes back like college and even a little pre-college. I can remember back in the days of like DVDs, like when you would like see them like in wherever, whatever, starting at like running to like some of the big, Shiva Ray and all these like kind of yoga gurus. And I remember like watching a couple of those when I was like a teenager. And then I'd be like, okay, yoga's cool. But then I got into college and, just kind of hit like this little depression anxiety mode where it was just, we all kind of hit those, I think, at certain points in our lives. And I was like, I need to get out of my head. So I took some classes there when I was a student. I thought that was cool. So I was like, I'm going to keep doing this. So once I graduated, I took classes in Indy. How I became instructor is kind of a funny story because I was doing a co-led class and it was supposed to be 2 instructors. The other instructor's name was Charlie. I didn't know that though. So I like the woman who was teaching, I think her name was Angie. She led the first half of the class. So then when it came time for her to like pass the baton to the second instructor, she was like, "Oh, Charlie, come on up." And so I thought it was me, Charlie. So I went to the front of the room and like started teaching, and that guy didn't show up. So I just like taught the rest of the class. And then it was like a candlelit class. So it was like really dark.
That's my mom. Yeah.
Really see.
Oh my.
And then she was just like, "We actually did pretty good. Wait, you're not Charlie." And she was like, "I think you did a pretty good job." I wasn't like her Charlie. Like I was a different Charlie. So it was fine. I mean, yeah, and then I was like, okay, I'll do this. And then I took training at Vogue, and they are more in that like classically trained studio And then I came to Yoga 6, and like Liz said, it's a little bit more lighthearted. I think in my mind, I'm like, we're the people's yoga, we're kind of like a little bit more accessible for somebody who's intimidated by that traditional setting. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. That was a loaded question. I don't know.
Well, get ready.
And
That's what I ask. Is
well, I think the last one was like, what ways do you move on your own? Like
Oh,
other
so
types
if you
of
guys
movement?
teach outside Yoga 6 or do anything outside Yoga 6 that you want to share?
I mean, there was a times I do a lot of like what I call like chain therapeutic movements for myself because I get like chronic neck and shoulder tension. So I'm always just like moving in weird ways, like all the time. Just like this feels good. Oh, I'm gonna do this. But it's just I don't know. Yeah. I also do Qigong. I'm trying to finish training in that.
I know nothing about Qigong. What it's.
I've done online videos and it's so cool. So
It's Qigong's like the big overarcher and Tai Chi is underneath. So it's like the umbrella is Qigong and then Tai Chi is the martial arts form. But it's basically like China's version of yoga. And it's a lot of flowing movements with breath, very similar to yoga. It's just different.
Good deal. So all that's to say, you guys landed here by fate. The instructors. My God, both of those stories are like, and here's
and nobody put this on like a bucket list. I don't know that I knew it was an option. I wanted to be a senator growing up. I'm really glad you're pivoting.
Let's pivot again.
Yeah. This is more fulfilling. Yeah, but movement for me, I forgot to answer that question. Great job. I recently treated myself to a Peloton. And I love it. And I know it's on my Peloton back. Yes, I'm like 5 years late into the process.
There you go.
But I love to bike and cycle and was a faithful member of a cycle bar when cycle bar was around. Loved it.
Did they all close?
They did, yes. And we are blessed in that we had some of their instructors come over to Yoga 6. So I was really glad to be able to keep that like pipeline fitness together. And I also teach at Day One, which is a small group fitness studio that's in the Factory Arts District. And so we do a lot of functional training and things like that. I like to lift. And I am bound and determined. I'm saying it on this podcast, so I do it. I'm putting a punching bag in my basement. I like to class. I got my boxing gloves, but I need to
I used to do boxing at a place called 9 Round.
Me too.
It was a good workout.
That's great. 20
Get
seconds.
like a dopamine high. Like afterwards, you're just like so happy.
You're so high.
I just felt the shit out of everything.
Yeah.
It was good. It's so hard when you like so many things to do. All of them.
Yeah, you can't do it all. You just gotta pick a few and
Stick with it.
And roll with it. Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. Right. Well, we're talking about movement today. We're talking about yoga specifically. So let's talk about some myths about yoga. One, you have to be flexible. True or false?
I think false.
Big calls.
Yeah, because it's just like people will say that all the time. I'm like, well, how do you think the people in the class who are quote unquote advanced yogis became advanced yogis? At one point, they were just like you. And, we're all different in our bodies. Like the reason why we practice is to get more comfortable, more relaxed, more flexible, but also alleviate stress. It's not about forcing your body into a special perfect shape. Like that's just all kind of this BS that society tells you have to look a certain way or whatever. Yeah.
A hill I will die on about flexibility is I need us all every day to be doing forward fold. So forward fold is just when you reach down and touch your toes, but you don't have to touch your toes. You're just touching towards your toes, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I need everybody to just relax there and hang. It's just decompresses the spine, allows you to just kind of relax a little bit. And I think once you do that a little bit each day, which you obviously can do at home, you notice the benefits other places. So obviously there's a lot of others, but that's the one that I'm like, I need everybody to do a forward fold. And inversions are great for anxiety. And so technically that counts as an inversion because it's awesome. Yeah.
Well, your work.
Yeah. So just move my arms. Exactly. Swing back and forth. Just take a moment, feel the spine kind of relax. But yeah, I think the people who think that they're not flexible enough for yoga are the people we need in our classes. So we want in our classes. I think that's the big thing is like, and I love working with beginners. I'm a high school teacher by day. That's my regular job.
And I think because of that, my personality lends to folks just starting out doing something, as I do that all day long.
Sure.
And so I feel very, very comfortable and very passionate about working with first timers. So if you're scared and you don't think you're flexible enough, come on down, sign up for a class, because I want to make that myth go away.
Or also, like, maybe people that do think they're very flexible, because I'm like you, I'm naturally flexible in some aspects. Like hamstrings, we can do all the things. You get me in a pigeon pose, I look like I've never moved my hips before. So I think it's a good like challenge too. If you think, well, I can do the things in functional movement that are, I'm flexible enough, but like, let's actually challenge that in all movement
Yeah.
aspects.
I think yoga is kind of like one of those like little Rubik's cubes. Like it will find your bodies. Like if you practice it long enough, you will find some place where you get stuck. And I always laugh because there are those students who are beautiful that come into class from like dance backgrounds and whatever. We're all beautiful, right? But when they come in, they'll do some of the more advanced postures like a split or something, and they'll be like, all right, but can you do this? And they'll like throw on like stuff that I know is going to challenge. Like sometimes if you take yoga long enough, you could study someone's anatomy and figure out like, oh, you have a really strong core, or you have really like long arms, you're really long legs, or like you're super flexible in this area, but actually you struggle in this area. It's usually there's like two sides. It's usually flexibility is on one side and strength is on the other side. And they're like two ends of the scale. If you become overly flexible, sometimes you can lose strength. If you become overly strong, sometimes you can lose the flexibility. And so, like, usually you'll find people that are really gifted in one side or the other, but having them be like balanced is like,
Thank you. That was a beautiful contrast. Yes.
Let's see, we got some other myths here, or if you guys just have any as well. But like, yoga isn't a real workout. Bigger bodies can't do yoga. Yoga is just for women. Any of these? Yeah, you want to speak to, or none of them? Any of them?
I feel passionately about one. I feel passionate about two. Got it too. The bigger bodies can't do yoga. As a thick individual who has been for majority of her adult life, I have been in spaces that you don't feel totally comfy, and you're like, but why? And then you look around and you're like, oh, it's because I'm the thick girl in the room. And I want people to know that that is such a gift. And I think finally, as a society, we're shifting, particularly women of a certain age, like the millennial age range and such, are shifting to like everybody is beautiful. Bodies are strong. Like you don't have to have a certain mass density. And don't get me started on the fact that all of the health norms were built off the male body. Charlie's the exception. He's wonderful and inclusive. But you know, you think about all these things, these expectations that were meant to meet. It isn't even based off of women's bodies. And so I think that every single conversation we can have where we can make, I probably overuse the word safe, but if people associate me with the word safe, that's great. That's what I want, because I want you to feel very comfortable. I have all sorts of body types, sizes, health conditions in my class. I pay close attention to postpartum mamas because I think that is such a brave thing to do. And I got to give a shout out. We have a couple coming to class in Fishers right now that I think she's about 9 weeks postpartum, and her husband comes with her. And he just champions her. I mean, she champions herself, but like it's a very cool thing to see, like they're building this new family, they're prioritizing movement. And I know it's not easy to walk away from your not
Right.
you're not a baby. I may be speaking about age, but
Well, if you're listening,
yeah.
maybe.
But I just think that I always say in class, nobody knows your journey. Nobody knows what you went through today, this week, this month, this year. Like no one has a clue what it took for you to get to your mat. And all I want people to know is that people beside them are just cheering you on, right? Like and if that's not your vibe, my class probably isn't for you, and that's okay. Like my class may be a little too woo-woo for some people, and I always say like, I may not be your girl. Don't get me wrong, we get after it, but I may not be your girl if you're training for like a high rocks. As much as I at some point want to do one of those, but again, need to dig into the culture of is this a safe space? Not totally sure. But if you want to move your body and if you want to have fun and listen to some banger music, that's what we're all about. So I think that's a big piece of. I don't even think about body type a lot, to be honest, because it's not a priority in my class. You have a body, that body is important, that body deserves to move, and that body deserves to be loved.
Yeah. That's like, I mean, couldn't have said it better, but I just to piggyback a little, I do think like yoga in the early days when it became super popular in the US, it was like 70s and 80s through the 90s. In that era, it was about creating a shape and that there was an ideal shape in every asana or pose. Now the modern philosophy has shifted away from that into creating an internal experience within a variety of that shape. And therefore, there is no ideal. It is a range. Like, it's just like you hear about the spectrum, like the spectrum of whatever, race, sexuality, whatever. There's a lot of spectrums, and there's a spectrum in every yoga pose, too. It's like now we've really just emphasized what we call functional anatomy. And even I've seen teachers, like really, really good teachers, like the one who trained me was thousands of hours of training. Like when I was training with her, now 13 years ago, it was much more on the end of like fit into the shape. And if you can't do it, you just need to try harder. And now even she and other instructors and the whole community has evolved for a very good reason, I think, into recognizing that our bone structures are different. Every individual has different sockets, where their joints interact with bones differently. We have, male and female anatomy. We have a variety of experiences we work at, that we come into the classrooms with. Some people have traumas, and so yoga should work for you. You shouldn't be working for yoga. Like it should be everybody should feel like they can come in and explore the range of those shapes and really it's more about the feeling of it. Like, is it creating wellness in your body? And yeah, I don't even talk. I try to use
The only time we really talk about anatomy is when
language.
we're instructing teachers.
Yeah, I will say, put your foot forward or,
Yeah.
lower your back knee, but it's very generic in the fact that, like, there's a lot of modifications we add of, like, oh, if you're feeling this today, do this. Or, like, if you're not feeling that, do this. And that, like, I do try to acknowledge that there's a range of people in the room. Like, there are those little ninja type A people that you want me to tell you to stand on one leg and do a bind and then do a head stand up. Like that's what they want. But then there's also like somebody who just like had a surgery in the same room and you're just like, or who has a UTI or who is, whatever. Like there's a lot of things. And then you're just like, okay, like listen to your body. It's fine. Like
Still showed up.
do what you need. Like do what you need for you.
The feeling piece I was going to add on to some of the postures that we have, we call heart openers. And that's obviously not a physical manifestation of busting your heart open on a yoga mat, right? But from a feeling and from an emotional standpoint, you are meant to feel a sense of relief in these certain postures. But you can feel that relief no matter the depth of your ability of that posture. And I think that is something that contemporary yoga beliefs have shifted away from the more traditional, which is a good thing and a good evolution of a belief system.
I think so too. Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking just about like my experience with yoga and especially in the last handful of years, because I have always been the one that's like, let me get into the deepest posture, like look the best that I can look. But now it's more like, how does this feel in my body? Like is like I did a heart opener yesterday because like I was really, really tight in. And so after doing that, I'm like, oh, I can just like put my shoulders back and like that is alone is enough, right? Like I didn't do anything super crazy or super like whatever. It was just I just feel like slightly more open. So
Yeah. And like just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yep.
That's like a lesson for everyone. Cause like there are some like people who can do some amazing things, but like if your body just may not have that energy. Maybe you just need to chill that day. Like just listen to it,
Yeah, we just did an episode with a sports dietitian that works and a sports psychologist that works with athletes, and just talking about like every game, like that's when you expect to have your peak performance, but every game is probably not going to be peak performance. And so I think I always struggled with this, like when I was trying to calm myself, because I'm like, yeah, let me do all the athletics. This idea that like we should be grounded and be calm and that yoga is a journey was like, okay, I hear that, but I don't really quite understand what that means. And I like that you put that to words, like just showing up on your mat and doing the thing and taking a piece from that day that feels good to you is like the goal, not I did this post today and this post today and this, like the journey piece, I guess feels like it's cementing a little more. Here you guys talk.
Yeah, we don't give you a report card at the end of your class.
Summer, because I used to really not have like that.
I know. We don't give you a check sheet. We don't give you stickers. We, to be honest, I don't know what poses you got into. Like I give you suggestions, but like I'm paying attention in the moment, but I'm not keeping that in my long term. You know, and so I think the journey piece is true. The one piece I'd also think about is just because your body on a Monday can do a certain move doesn't mean it can do it on a Tuesday, and doesn't mean it can't do it again on a Wednesday. So there's some times where I think we have a bit of fatalistic approach to things where if there's one day our body can't do something, that we can never do it again. And you're like, no, that's not the case. That means today your body needed to rest. Your body needed a moment. Your mind wasn't there. And so when you try it again, we just have to have the journey pieces. You have to have the perseverance to try again because it will be there again.
So much of a mental journey.
Yes.
It's so much resiliency.
It speaks, I mean, thinking about my clients, like so far as we've been talking about this, and that a lot of them have that like very rigid black and white thinking. If I can't do it now, then I won't be able to like ever fill out the table. And so even to be able to experience something like yoga, even just for a week, to be like, I couldn't do this on Monday, maybe I can do it now. Like, not only does it just help them internally be like, not everything has to be rigid and black and white, but then it gives them the experience of like actually doing it and trying it and experiencing what it's like, which is really cool.
And changing what progress looks like. I think that's something that we struggle with so much with our clients, especially maybe not specifically eating disorder clients, but clients that come to us that have been chronically dieting or trying to change body size or shape. And we're really working with them on like an intuitive eating journey. It's hard to move away from those metrics of progress. Like, well, if I'm not checking my weight, how do I know if I'm making progress, or if I didn't move up in this weight class, if I didn't hit this pose better the next day or one extra push up or whatever, how am I actually improving? And when it's not like data, I think people really struggle.
It's hard. Yeah.
So it's great that, to find the idea of the journey is the progress.
Yeah. I won't name the place I went, but I did a workout, and a big part of it is you have to be in particular zones of workout. And one of those, it would have put my heart rate above 169. And I was just talking to the trainer a little bit, and I was like, I'm very privileged that I know my body well enough. If my heart rate is over 169, I'm unconscious. So like, I hear you with your data point. I hear you with that maybe is how like someone my age or whatever, right, weight class, whatever is supposed to move. But I was like, it won't ever be me. Yeah. But I know the confidence that it takes to not only say that to someone, right, but to also know that about yourself. Yeah. And so I think that's important of like, we teach keto workouts. Yeah. It's very important that you're hydrating, and it's very important that like we have people stop. If you need a break, take a break. We want you to do so. And so, but that is hard. Because if you're told this class starts at this time, this class ends at this time, I'm, in our heads, when we were in school, you had to work the whole time, like we're conditioned to these things, but we have to remember, I love those Instagrams that are like, remember, you have free will. And then there are people that like go to Disney World for the day, but like the concept of you have free will. Yeah. Charlie and I are just suggestions. We're facilitators. We're teachers. We are just giving you suggestions for how to move your body. Please know that the power is in you to make your choices of how you do that. Yeah. But I know that sometimes the thought of like not doing that, that's why I drill it into people. I'm like, no, if you need to lie on your mat, and I've had people come in sculpt, and I don't think they would be mad at me for saying this, and cry. Yeah. They had a shit day. Of course. They had a shit day. They moved their body in a certain way, and they release some emotion. Yeah. This is a safe space to do that, And is that on the progress report? No. But that's you release some emotion. Yeah. That's good progress. And if that's why you came to that class, that's why you came. Yeah. That's what you needed.
Liz probably remembers the story, but one time we had a new mom that walked into the studio. Yeah. She threw down a blanket and brought her pretty much like an infant into the heated yoga studio, which wasn't great. But, within reason, I think she just needed a space. Like, she was just like, this is the only place I could get a little peace. Yeah. And, like, I just, we're not there to judge or whatever. Like you just are there for whatever reason you're there for. If you're getting some benefit, then that's all that matters.
To me, I see it as an honor to be the place that someone wants to go on their worst day.
And they can feel safe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you,
Yeah.
everything is blown up. I'm going to class. Like that's huge. And that's, you know what I mean? We're doing something right. We may not be doing it all right, but we're doing something right.
100%. Yeah.
Especially have movement spaces like that. Like I'm thinking back to my past, like if your fitness journey, teaching and things like that, where it's like, I mean, I'm thinking of one place in particular where like, sure, it was like safe-ish because like you knew people there, but like, I don't know if it would ever be safe enough for somebody to come on their worst day or to cry or to be like, I'm just going to be here and like not focus on like trying to do the best I can do because everyone around me is telling me be the best, be the best, be the best, be the best. And so it's just lovely to hear about fitness spaces and movement spaces that are so welcoming and inclusive. So
And how hard it is to advocate for yourself to decide to pull back or to take space. Jen, I could have made this up. Did you tell me it is one of your goals to go to a yoga class and be in Sebastian the whole time?
be a heck of
I love that.
Yeah.
Me too.
Me too.
Because the only reason we're moving is because we think people's perception is that we need to be moving. That's the only reason we're doing it.
Yes. I told this to a friend and they're like, why would you pay to go to a class to just lay on the ground? Why don't you do it at home? And I'm like, there's something different about it. Like I want to be able to go into the space again that I feel comfortable enough in to be like, even though everybody's doing all of this around me, like the practice that I've done and the trust that I've cultivated in myself is like, I can lay here and be still and like,
Yeah.
it's going to be fine.
And
It's okay.
And the breath work that you would get from 60 minutes.
Yeah.
I think when we're in the middle of teaching, sometimes you can feel that energy in the room of people shifting to either receive or not receive what is being offered.
Yes.
And to not take that personally, to actually celebrate whatever it is that's happening in the room and be like, yes, this is great. Like sometimes I've had people get to the end of a hard power class, which I'm supposed to challenge them, give them like, it would be dishonorable, I think, to go to a power class and teach it like a slow flow. Like I'm just not going to do that. But if your body wants to check out like 15 or 20 minutes earlier than the class and you're like, that's all I could do for today, Shavasana feast, I'm like, you go, get it. And it's great to watch people like make those choices for themselves. Or like somebody who I know is like an advanced yogi who can do something, just choose to not do it. And like,
Yes.
it's great.
Breaking down those expectations we have in ourselves.
What makes a space feel welcoming to maybe first timers, people who feel like they don't belong in fitness
This
spaces?
is definitely Liz's question only because she excels at it. Like her classes blow up because she creates community.
Oh, that's got such a nice preface.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Don't disappoint us now.
I know, right? The pressure's on. Something that's important to me is to see people how they want to be seen. So I'm a little guilty sometimes and I'm a little loud in my celebrations of people because we celebrate milestones in classes when we have first timers, when we hit their 50 classes, but names are really important. And so it's important to me not only to learn my members' names, but their correct pronunciation, their preferred name, their nickname. And I think a lot of times, sometimes when we have folks who are of different ethnicities, they give us their Americanized name. And I want you to know that you don't have to do that with me. Like, please give me the name that you want to be called and that you were named, right? That matters. It doesn't matter if it's easy for me. It matters that I see you how you want to be seen. And so I think because I not only say that, but I believe genuinely, like in how I approach my life professionally, my friends, and all of the above, I think people know that it's real. And so I show up as myself and I inadvertently give people permission to show up as themselves. And I think it builds from there. And I always like, what's really cool is to see people who I remember when they were strangers and now they like put their mats beside each other. And these are people who live in different parts of the city. Like they wouldn't necessarily have interacted before. And now they're lining up together every single time and just chit chatting. And one I loved, I don't know if I told this or not, but I actually have a lot of mothers and daughters that take my class, which I think is cool. Like that's their time in the week to like at college age or like a little older than their moms. And for the first time, mother-daughter who met in class went and got drinks and dinner with other mother-daughter who met in class. And so, right, I was just like overhearing this happen and I know they all met in my class. And so I was like, that is like, I asked Susie, I was like, you guys met up for drinks? So she goes, yeah, it's our first time. We're really excited, you know? And so it's just about like, you just got to talk to people And I think that sometimes, and I will do this, and this is the high school teacher in me, when I see a new person sit next to a person who's been there before, I go up to them, I go, hey, this one's an OG. If you need anything, you ask her. Because you can't always, like, if there's 40 people, I can't always get to everybody. Well, I do pretty proud, but I can't always get to everybody. But I intentionally set people up with people to be like, hey, if you have any questions, ask this person. This is this person's name. They were a first time or two once, you know? And so I think people like that. And it's so interesting to me, the concept of eye contact, like simply making eye contact with someone, because a lot of times, you know, people come in, and you've got your map, you've got your headphones, you're in your space, right? And just being like, hey, yeah. And particularly to an introverted person, and then leave it, right? They'll leave it like, hey, glad you're here. And I walk away. And so I do credit a lot of that is to, I'm fairly self-aware, and I'm fairly like, have a lot of empathy. And so I can tell if someone's uncomfortable. I can tell if someone's just not having it in a certain day. So I look at it and I'm like, if you need me, let me know, but you look like an idiot. So there's a piece of that I know is a skill that I have. So thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Just get things together and moving our bodies and making it fun. The first time I took the class, I was like, I hated every minute of that, and I'll be back, because it was so hot and I was in not as good a shape. But I was like, no, this is what I need. This is absolutely what I need.
That's so, I mean, the introvert in me is like blessed that you connect people. Like, yes, love it.
So I do it for you because I'm an extrovert.
Yes.
And my last name is Retana, and one of my best friends will say, where are you on the scale of introvert to Retana? Because I'm like beyond the extrovert piece.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I will say I do think that is a gift, because it can bring people together. And only that, like, I'm on the introvert side too. I work as an engineer in my office all day. So when I get to those, like, if there's like a 20 person size class, if I'm gifted with that, it can be overwhelming sometimes. And like, I have to really push to do exactly what you said, like see people one on one, make the effort. Let's connect here, and have a conversation. So, but you're right. I think it boils down to like what you said, that there's people just want to be seen how they are.
And I was going to say, I think on the flip side, there are people that know that I'm like, whoa. And so if that's a lot for a certain day, they have you and they can choose you. I think that's a piece of like what I love about our community at Yoga Six is like a lot of our instructors, we're different. Yeah. And that's a great thing. You know what I mean?
Well, it's the difference between being in like a real space versus a virtual space. Like, no offense to all the like amazing online classes that are offered out there, but like there's a difference between like showing up with like real people and like being able to talk afterwards. And
I like writing what
you like, and yeah,
because I like riding my Peloton bike, but because I do what I do, it's not the same. It's interesting to do that solo. So to your point, I completely agree with you. That showing up in a space and doing it with other people is huge.
How would you describe the yin yang like teaching style in contrast to Liz's?
I mean, so there's
different disciplines as well.
Yeah, they're just like, that's the thing is like, Liz predominantly does like sculpt, fitness, core, like that regimen of kind of like hit all of that stuff. So it is high energy by nature. And yoga I don't want to say it's like slow, sleepy energy. It's not. Like if you take a power class, it can be very energizing.
But it's more intentional focus.
It is like, yes, the focus, slowing down, like being in the poses is a different feel. And so I think it's like tone of voice is the energy you bring. I think good instructors have both kind of like a yin and yang. They allow their students to have moments of like quiet and solitude in the class and moments where they feel like they're being challenged or energized. But yeah, it's a balance. And they're needed. Like we encourage people to like cross pollinate, I guess, like this goal, like if you're a sculpt person, like maybe you should take it.
I beg people, I'm like, please incorporate our flow classes into your weekly schedule because I need you to stretch more than we just did.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so sculpt is not Pilates. It has some vinyasa flow and weight training, correct?
Yes. So they're different. So sculpt is a yoga, and it's called sculpt and flow technically. So it's a yoga warm up, which is about 12 minutes. And then I'm getting better on the timing. That's a whole one story. And then it's 48 minutes in 3 blocks of cardio hit weights. And then it's about a 12-minute yoga cool down. And Mat Pilates, we are now doing hot core. So we've kind of launched into that. So if you're if person who likes sculpt, I think the formatting of hot core will lend to what you like because it's in blocks as well. The blocks are just on the ground and it's all core the whole time.
Whoa.
So that's maybe a class you haven't taken yet, but
Yeah.
yeah, but it's cool, and it's almost, I don't know if this is the right terminology, but I feel like it's us trying to gateway the sculpt people into yoga a little bit at a time to be like, see, you can work really hard on your mat. See, and then now if you go to the yoga class, this is the mental piece. Okay, and you need all of it.
Totally. Yeah. I feel like we had a recording from our Mass Boulder, and I feel like Hayden talked a lot about that. It's like the climbers see the yoga class, and they're like, maybe I'll do that. And yoga see the climbing, and they're like, I don't know. So
Yes.
it's a little scrap. It's a little trick.
We all get for the boxes. Yeah.
Yes.
Bust out the box. There's plenty of room for all of them.
Yeah, I agree. It's always funny when you see like a school person come in to yoga for the first time and then they are challenged by it, or they're not challenged enough in certain times, and then they're
They
just like
think they're not.
they think they're not, and they go into chat room and do like 6 extra push-ups. And I'm just like, okay, what are we?
Do you know just to not do that?
Yeah. Do you, but like not necessary.
You mentioned your alter ego was we didn't really even announce. So yelling yogi, do you want to tell us where that came from? And Shirley, do you have an alter ego?
So the Yelling Yogi was born in COVID. I I don't have a TikTok that I just can't yet. I have a TikTok that I just do minimally for scrolling purposes, but I don't create content on my TikTok. I'm scrolling. Right. But during COVID, I was at home with my mom in Southern Indiana for 110 days. And that was the longest I had been. Love you, Mom. Love you. It was the longest I had been home since high school, like consecutively. And so it was really interesting to just kind of like get back into different routines, make new routines. And the Yelling Yogi just kind of came out of that. I was like, when we get out of this, when we can emerge into the world again, what do I want to do? And I was like, I really want to go down this fitness route, and I really want to see what I can do. And at the time, it was more for me. Like it was more like I'm a yogi who likes to yell. That's pretty standard. But my yelling is very supportive. It's important. I'm not the hateful yelling yogi. So it kind of came out of that, and then it just like took on a life of its own. And Tessa surprised me with merch. And so now I do have some Yelling Yogi merch.
Now you're a brand.
Which was really cool and overwhelming. But I think it's just a reminder. I hope when people see it, they just like smile. Like,
Oh, for sure.
this is just a girl who likes to laugh, who leads yoga classes. You know, not everything has to be super serious. Not everything has to be super hard. I just, want to bring smiles and laughs to people who maybe had a really bad day, and they know that when they go to that class or they show up in our space that they feel better. But yeah, it was COVID, man. The COVID creativity just kind of started it.
It was that or Tiger King 3.
Exactly. I'd also can't get over that we're like 6 years removed from COVID, because I remember thinking like, oh, this is our new life. Like we just like live in bomb shelters now. Okay, got it.
I was watching Big Brother, a TikTok yesterday. It was them telling the Big Brother, I think it was Canada or UK contestants about COVID and like the shutdown. And then I'm like, no, this is so more ever. And so like done about like 9/11 one, but they're finding out about that, and then they're finding out the 2016 election, all these things that are happening
When you're just secluded from the world.
totally secluded. Like,
Yes.
these about COVID, and they're like, our sporting events, and I'm like, they've canceled all sporting events. And people are like,
Well, I remember when we came back to the studio and we weren't sure. And so we were wearing masks and we were social distancing, and we were, doing everything we thought we were supposed to do, which continued to shift. But I think
yoga with a mask.
I remember like yoga with masks.
It's just not,
It was definitely an experience that we navigated.
Yeah.
So no alter ego.
As far as like a brand, I will say other culture, let's yoga, and I do a lot of blogging. It's been a little bit of what I love to write.
You also done some yoga retreats.
I have done some yoga retreats, but as far as that brilliant brand of alter ego, I don't have that. But I think it's great because I think it showcases like you can be like a fine, not take it too seriously type of yogi and bring people into a community space. And like that's what your brand represents. And I think it's just really fun. Yeah.
So, yes.
We talked a little bit about briefly just like body inclusivity and what like maybe some of the ways that you'll instruct people. Can you guys talk a little bit more about that? Like what does it sound like in practice? Is there any language that like you intentionally avoid? Tell us about that.
For me, I intentionally avoid most language referring to the body in general. And it's interesting because as we're going through our sculpt training, I want to be very intentional with my teachers of like, you can talk to people about the particular muscle they're working or what, I want you to be informative, but never in a way that feels judgmental. And I think a big thing for us, you were talking about pigeon earlier, somebody just needed to give you a block.
Yeah,
You
so
know
that
what I
I mean, I
mean?
get right. Or
Yeah. So like I am such a pro props person to the point that like yogis may be minimalist, but like if there's a prop I can give you in class, I'm giving it to you. Like some people give me a hard time because I'm like, get 3 sets of weights, a block, and a strap. And they're like, good Lord, like it's like a buffet of like things to do. So I think for me, is using that. How do you bring the floor? For example, how does that look exactly? So we don't say things like, if you can't reach, we say, in order to bring the floor closer to you. So how do you reframe that in how you're speaking to people in order to make it, make a little more sense? And Charlie, you excel at that, truly. You do. Because it's rooted, I think it's rooted in you're so knowledgeable about the body. Charlie is definitely like the anatomy expert. Like you just know so much about how the body's supposed to move. You cue it to move safely, and you don't even. I think one thing that I will do, because I have one, is I'll talk about like belly placement, whereas other people may shy away from something like that, where like when we're doing any sort of fold or we're doing any sort of crunch, I'm like, notice if your belly is feeling compressed on your lungs and you can't breathe. You're not in the right spot for your body, right? So like moving your belly around so that you can access what you need to do. Because I think sometimes people shy away from that because it's like, oh my gosh, they have a belly. You're like, yeah, we have bellies. That's great. They can go here. Yeah, they could go here, they could go there, and that's where we keep all our yummy food. And so normalizing that kind of language. But I think you are able to talk about it even more specifically of how things are like how it may feel and then how it's supposed to feel.
Yeah, and I'm even careful about like stating the feeling. Like I have to be careful about that because like when you say like you should feel this, like some people may feel something more like it could be a hip stretch, it could be like pigeon. But somebody might be feeling it perhaps in their back, or they might be feeling it emotionally.
And that doesn't mean it's wrong.
It doesn't mean it's wrong. Like there can be a general like target for that position. And it's like, yeah, this generally should be stretching, extending, opening these muscle groups. But as far as what sensation it creates, that's dependent on the person, what they bring into the class. And, body inclusivity, I think also acknowledges like those emotional states people walk in or their disease state or non-disease state. Like we go through day-to-day transitions and, you have to not necessarily say things like, this should be fun or this should be joyous, like,
easy.
or easy. Like, it may not be that. They may, like, those emotions, they may need to cry or whatever. So it's not even just the body shape, but it's like, what state are you, like, with your energy and your health are you embodying that day? Like, and trying to just keep neutral. I would say just like neutral language of just like, if you want to try this, do this. But like you said, if you can't, that's a little bit can be limiting. Like try not to make people feel limited if they can't, whatever, or should feel or should not feel whatever.
We try to stay away from all of that language, to be honest. And you said
it does happen. It does happen.
no, it's perfect,
but we don't intend to put that in there. It's more this is what's offered, or let that journey take you wherever it's taking you. Yeah.
I think you said the word neutral, and that is one of the cues that I use. We don't say straight. So we don't say like find a straight spine because we have students who have scoliosis. We have students who have different all sorts of things. So we say like find your neutral. And I think about that a lot with I have a lot of students who are double jointed. And so they're in what is in their neutral position, but because they're double jointed, they're like here. And so nothing that I say or nothing that they do is going to change that, and any cue otherwise just makes you feel bad. Yeah. So we maintain that like neutral versus straight language.
It's very important.
You guys extended way past it. Like, I'm thinking just the basic, like, suck in our six-pack abs comments. And like, oh my gosh, you guys
We don't
way explored so much further than that. So
we don't talk about bikini bodies. Everybody is a bikini body.
no,
Exactly.
what is, if you have any off the top of your head, you might not, like, the craziest cue you've heard? I feel like sometimes they, like, of course, engage your
Yeah.
core could be subjective, but
Like not helpful.
not helpful or just wacky.
Well, the biggest ones, if you're in like yoga and you go to alignment-based classes, which would be like a Iyengar or like Bikram. I don't want to name teachers, names of places at all. I'm saying like I've been in these kinds of like very disciplined type classes where they will use kind of militant type language to get you to assume a shape. And so while I understand the intent of it is to push you to like do better, like, what is that? And can it be unsafe? Because if you say, like, lock your knees, reach your forehead to your exact knee, like it,
And
some
that's
of it,
out.
right? Somebody might
It's
literally
consciousness.
just like rupture their hamstrings or something trying to do that. Like, it's always like with a mindful intent of like, if you can extend your leg and get your heart a little closer to your forehead, a little closer to your legs, and it feels good for you, go a little bit deeper if your body allows, that's just trying to, yeah. I mean, one time, like, again, it goes into the evolution of how yoga was taught because when I came out of college, yeah, it was like you would go into classes and, like, if you were not doing the furthest extension of that pose, like, you could get a teacher putting their hands on you, trying to force you into the shade, or like there was one time where a teacher walked by and was just like to a student who wasn't quite there, like was just not doing it, what was offered, and they're like, "Oh, you're lost." And it was just like, really? Wow. Like that I think we've evolved away from a lot of that. I just don't hear that stuff much anymore. But it's just like I think everyone's evolved, honestly. Like the whole society, like through the pandemic, through Me Too, through the like body consciousness realm of like we're just all, I think society as a whole is a lot better in the like mental wellness, physical space than we were before.
Yes.
Not saying it's perfect, but it's just getting a lot better.
There's been intentional improvement. I think mine would be if I can do this, so can you. And I'm like, no, that's not even
What?
I mean, like
Yeah.
And I also struggle. And again, this is more not as recent, but when instructors make it about themselves. Now, I am guilty of sharing way too many of my intrusive thoughts. So I would say part of my brand is I tell ridiculous stories. But when you're sweating your face off, I try to distract you. So that's my goal. But it's not my journey. It's the student's journey. It's their class. You know what I mean? And so I think anytime an instructor goes a little too ham into like making it about themselves, I struggle with because it's not the purpose, it's not the intent.
Yeah.
And you can, because of the unintended or intended authority dynamic and power dynamic that becomes with teachers and students, those can have unintended consequences. So you need to be very mindful of like how you carry yourself in that space. That being said, when I have a crappy day, I tell them, like, hey guys, today was rough. I'm gonna do my best. I'm glad to be here with you. If I make a mistake, give me grace. Let's get started. So like I'm honest in that way, but you just have to be mindful of they came, and to our earlier point of taking care of your own wellness, they came to seek some relief. This is not necessarily the place you are to seek relief. You have to find that in other places.
With these different cues that you're giving, the thing that's coming out for me is like you're essentially helping people learn about their body
Yeah.
more and like to start to trust themselves more. Have you noticed that? Like the building of like self-trust and just
Absolutely. You're absolutely. And we're also mindful of it's involved with the cueing, but I talk a lot about extensions, or we talk about layers of movement. And so I will give an example of the movement. I'll say stop one. For example, when we're in supine figure four, stop one is you cross your ankle to your knee and you're right there. Stop two, you reach through and you pull your hamstring and you pull your quadricep closer to your body. Step three, you can add a rock side to side. So we're very intentional with, we don't say, if you want the easiest version of this, like we don't talk
Right.
about it that way. We talk about it in steps so that you can actually see, oh, step two felt a little more comfortable today. Or step three felt a little more comfortable today. I mean, we all have different variations of what that language sounds like,
Yeah.
but that's the intent of it. Is like
Yeah.
making sure that as you're building confidence and you're seeing that progress. In my class, there's a move that I do every single time. It's bare for people watching. They won't already know that. But we hold like a hold hover, or your shoulders are over your wrists, hips, or knees, and you just press and hold. But we do it every class where if your first class you hold for 2 seconds and then you drop to your knee, that's great. Like I just want to show you that over time your body is building strength. We're building full body strength, and we add all sorts of modifications and extensions to that movement as well. And just being mindful of that.
It's really cool. I've never heard it said in like the step way. I really like it.
Yeah, because it's such a small shift, but it does make all the difference because you never know what small comment is gonna just like land the wrong way.
Oh, yeah.
say. Or even just I remember one yoga class with my husband, and he's like, at the end, he's like, they didn't say we're gonna heat up our body from the inside out. And he was dead serious. Like, I really like when they say that. I'm like, I don't know what that changes with what you're doing, but I'm glad to hear that that's the impactful part for you, that warming up our body from the inside out.
There's a piece of where, and Charlie's is a little different, but in my warm up, I typically do the same warm up every time. So the first 12 minutes look the same. And that is an easy way to reduce anxiety. So once you come to a class, you know what to expect for the first 12 minutes of class. So in your husband's defense, I know there are people that are in my class who are expecting me to say certain things in the beginning because that's how I start class. And there will be sometimes that people will rip me and be like, you forgot this. And I'm like, I didn't even realize it, but thank you.
This part of the scripts was not there.
Correct. But they like the steady, they like the consistent, and they like knowing what to expect.
And I bet that's, I'm thinking as an instructor, like, what a good idea.
Oh, yeah.
Same thing.
So just,
You don't have to be in the wheel every time.
correct. You can't do that in power. I couldn't teach power.
Because power is different from what, but it's different every time. Whereas hot's pretty structured.
Yeah, it's like a creative journey where you flow around 2, 3, 4 poses that you want to create a challenge around, and it does change, and it's meant to be challenging, but I mean, hopefully in a not, don't take it too seriously way, but for those who want to be pushed in their yoga practice. So yeah.
Yeah. I have some fangirls of my friend group that love your power class. I don't know if
Oh,
they go
thank you.
anywhere, but several of my groups of friends will shout about your class.
Just try to be creative. It's like the one outlet for me as a yoga instructor where I'm just like, let's just make this like an adventure on the mat.
And he won't say it, but I will. But Charlie's 500-hour trained, so he's a baddie. Yeah, he knows what's going on. Yeah, that's someday. Maybe you can go with me and you can get your 800-hour, and I'll get my 300-hour. Island somewhere.
There you go. So Ollie,
Yeah.
coming there.
Yeah, we'll take our dogs.
I feel like that's a good segue into men doing yoga, men in yoga. Tell us more about that in your experience, Charlie, and what you've seen.
Yeah, so I think there has been like a stigma in society for a long time of like quote unquote masculine guys being like, oh, yoga is, for weak people, or it's like softer, and that's just not my thing. And I think like, say like the woke guy, like they're starting to realize that there's a place of yoga for everyone. Like it's needed no matter what you do. So like you can be a really hunky bodybuilder or a soccer player or whatever it is that you do, and it be part of your regimen for keeping your body healthy. Like it's not, doing something that is just like compounding strength and just harnessing the strength in your body can be unbalanced. Like it can be just driving you actually into a point later, setting you up for a health problem. So like, and I mean, we see that with pro athletes, such as like you played football for 10 years or whatever, and it like didn't really take care of your body in these other ways. And now I actually like see guys come in and they're like, how can this yoga help me like make gains in this other area in my life? And I'm like, that's so cool. Still not quite where I wanted you to evolve to, of like yoga is good by itself, but now they treat it more as like a tool to get good at the things that they do think are like masculine and cool. So I'm just like, you know what, we're getting there.
Whatever gets you into it, right?
But it does, like, people come in with what I call like frozen body types, where they're just like sat in shapes or done strength exercises that I've put them into a place where they've just gotten very restricted in your range of movement. And really that's what yoga is. It's freedom. It's like ability to move within your own fascia, muscular, nervous system. And I do think like your nervous system health and your mind health mimics what your body can or cannot do. So like if you become locked in your body, like you're also starting to create the effects of inflammation and locking in your brain nervous system as well. there's a lot more correlation in studies that are showing that now. So I think guys are talking more about stuff like that. Like I go to the gym and we'll sit the sauna with a bunch of other guys, and it's just wild now that like the conversations you would not expect like regular straight bros to have in the sauna. Like they're talking about like really woke stuff. They're like, yeah, like I should wear Crocs because they have microplastics in them, and like I'm doing like you'll see a guy in the sauna like literally in lotus pose now, or like doing his stuff, and it'll be like, yeah, I used to do like hot yoga. I'm just gonna do it in here. I'm like, maybe not. Saunas like a little awkward, or like you do your full yoga practice. But I'm like, props to you, like not that many people are like doing yoga out here. So like it has changed a lot for guys. It has. And also like I think just giving more diversity in the classroom, because it used to be like very dominated by women, which props to women for realizing like early on 70s and the 80s that like yoga's cool. We should stick with it, ladies. And then yeah, that kind of set the industry standard.
I'm sure that was some other societal pressure to make the women do the yoga themselves. So don't even give us credit, right?
Can you go back for a moment, as I love like incorporating somatics into my therapy practice, talk about a little bit more about what being like stuck in your body, stuck in your mind, and like how yoga can like help free that up a little bit more too.
Yeah, so like literally, I talk about it with my mom all the time because she has like fibromyalgia. She has issues with her spine, and it restricts the movement. And so, like, the problem is like your fascia is literally like this covering over your muscles. Once your fascia becomes like forms like all these little knots, and your muscles forms all these little knots, what's running through that whole thing is your nervous system. And so literally like if you're squeezing that nervous system like more and more into a tight place, it just doesn't have room to breathe. Like you're more likely to experience anxiety, like more likely to kind of not feel mentally relaxed. Like if it kind of makes sense, like the mind follows the body follows the mind as well. And so like your body's in a very tense state all the time, like your mind's probably also getting near a tense state. Like, and people don't acknowledge that reality. They still see their mind as separate. They're just like, no, steel trap up here. I'm good. And you're just like, that's okay. But your body's not.
Oh, that's a great overview. Yeah, because I think people struggle to make that connection and really understand that mind has a lot of control on the body and vice versa.
As a person who's relatively self-aware, I will say to your point of the tightness, I didn't realize this was pre-yoga, pre-COVID. I didn't realize how bad my TMJ had gotten, my TMJ dysfunction had gotten, until I, the yelling yogi, could not open my mouth.
Whoa.
And it got to the point, this was before yoga, it got to the point where I was like, it's not normal to have to eat like I couldn't open my teeth.
Oh god.
Because the like relativity of normal, like as the further you get, it's like, oh, this is my normal.
But yeah, I was like, oh, I guess this is just where we are. And so yeah, to think about like where I was mentally, where people get mentally, where you don't even realize. Like I wasn't actively every day going, my jaw feels tight,
That's the thing about life, unfortunately, is like it does a number on you. To all of us, it doesn't matter how young or old you are, but if you don't physically activate a process to undo some of that tension, it will just accumulate, like it's accumulating all the time. And people just don't acknowledge that. So it does sneak up. Yeah.
I need to do something about this.
I'm inspired to go lacrosse ball foam roll when I get home.
Oh yes. Are you good for rapid fire?
Starting with Liz, what is your favorite pose?
Favorite pose is fish pose, where you have a block underneath you and you're like this.
And your mouth is open?
Yeah. That's my favorite.
Nice. Charlie, favorite pose?
I like Bird of Paradise. It's just fun. Arm away. Dude, I like arm out stuff too. I geek out on the arm outs.
That tracks with us. Mine is blue. Yours is yes. It's a bird. That's it's so fun.
Okay, Liz, favorite class to teach?
It can be anywhere too. So.
I will say it is glaringly obvious that it is sculpt, but a lesser known fact about me is I actually like to teach our restore class as well, which is low to the ground, calming music, very chill. So
what are they called?
Yeah, the bolsters.
Thank you.
So I like to teach the opposite ends of the spectrum. And that's a little known fact. Yes. I'm a woman of extremes.
Okay, Charlie, most underrated part of yoga?
Probably the breathing, just like the resting portion. Because I always tell people, like, even when you're not moving in your yoga practice, you're still internally moving, like with your breath. And like, again, it's like that freeing up of fascia space just by breathing deeper. So yeah, probably that.
like, like everything.
Sponsored by Nike.
Right. Everything you tell yourself in your head about why you shouldn't, just go. Just go the first time. And if you hate it, I love you still. It's okay. You know what I mean? Like at the worst, you have a 60-minute experience that you can tell your friends over drinks. I went to this crazy ass shit at Yoga 6 and I'm never going back. You know what I mean? So like at the end of the day, you have a fun story or you have a place. And that is for not just Yoga 6, all yoga, but like you just got to try it because the perception you have in your head is not ever going to be what the execution in person looks like.
With everything. Okay, both of you, if you can finish the sentence, yoga isn't about blank.
Assuming a perfect shade.
Yoga isn't about what other people think of you or your body.
Beautiful. Feeling like, again, movement has value because
Kind of like you said, unlocks that like wellness in your nervous system. Like it literally relaxes you.
You move to stay alive. So if we don't move, it's not good. You got to move in your own way, whether that's walking, whether that's, meeting your steps or that's swimming.
Shaking in your kitchen.
Exactly. It's a vibration plate.
Yeah.
I think I'm
Another episode.
one of those too. But yeah, you move to stay alive.
yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys both so much for coming here again. Where can our listeners find Yoga 6? Where can they find you?
Best bet is going to be at Yoga 6 Indie or at Yoga 6_Fishers. But that's going to be on Instagram. And then my Instagram is at The Yelling Yogi. So we're all mostly millennials. So we're going to be on the Instagram side of things. That is mostly where you'll find all your information for us. I think the young bucks are making us a TikTok maybe. So stay tuned. Yeah.
I echo that. If you want to follow my blog, charlieloveyoga.com, I believe. But again, no one uses websites anymore. So
I love that you use the website. I have to go off of it. Wired headphones are coming back. Websites are going to come back. I have the wired.
Yeah. All right, everyone, that is a wrap on our Summer Movement Series episode talking all about yoga with our two wonderful guests, Liz Retana and Charlie Deweese.
Amazing. We'll be back next week with an episode you don't want to miss. If you guys would be so willing to give us a 5-star rating or review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and subscribe as well, that would be great so more people can find our show. We'll see you guys next week.
See you guys.
Stop, Collaborate, and Listen is a space for real, honest conversations, but it's not a substitute for individualized care. Episodes may include discussions of eating disorders, mental health struggles, trauma, or other sensitive topics. Please take care while listening. The content shared here is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be taken as medical advice, a diagnosis, or a treatment plan. Listening to this podcast does not create a provider-client relationship, and while we speak from both professional training and lived experience, we're not here in the role of your personal healthcare team. If you're struggling with food, body image, or mental health, we encourage you to seek support from licensed, eating disorder-informed providers who can offer tailored care you deserve.